Ideas in action, innovation and application. Glad to be back for this new edition of Initiative Africa, your appointment with the continent on the move. Coming up tonight. She's a leading specialist on development and education issues. For years, she has been actively campaigning for an effective approach to education, one that doesn't sideline female students. Oley Dibba-Wadda, Executive Secretary of ADEA, the Association for the Development of Education in Africa, is Initiative Africa's special guest tonight. Mayors and presidents of regional councils in search of initiatives and partnerships to develop their communes gathered in Paris at the 7th Forum for Local and Regional Authorities. The event was attended by 1,200 participants from around the world. What if investors in Africa's growth were also interested in the continent's social development? Investment advisors are steering their partners towards contracts where all sides win. Local and regional authorities in Africa are racking their brains to find a way to satisfy the increasingly pressing demands of their electors. When municipalities short on skills and resources, answers are hard to find. Over 100 countries have found their salvation in city-to-city cooperation. Not surprisingly, the 7th Forum for Local and Regional Governments involved in international action was a popular success for those in search of solutions and suggestions. This is a report by Camille Monnier, Sophia Merba and David Thiombiano.
Ties between cities in the southern and northern hemispheres began to develop with the end of World War II. Now the movement includes cooperation between nations. The goal was to bring people closer together and encourage solidarity and mutual understanding. The Paris Forum for Local and Regional Governments involved in international action is the expression of this desire for unity. In 2015, 4,800 municipalities in France and Africa were twinned, and a total of 13,000 projects were implemented, with a budget of $63 million.
Quasiment toutes les semaines, je vois passer des invitations adressées par les communes du Nord.
Hardly a week goes by without me seeing invitations from communes in France addressed to their counterparts in Cameroon.
Naturellement pour échanger, naturellement pour également
They want to share, to exchange ideas, to benefit from the expertise and experience of the North in social and socio-economic fields.
Secteur de la vie sociale, socio-économique, et je pense que de plus en plus ils en tirent le meilleur parti possible. Et nous souhaitons effectivement que
I think more and more of them are benefiting from these exchanges.
Entre les villes du Sud et du Nord puissent aller de l'avant.
Claire Tawab is a French Member of Parliament of Congolese origin. With an all-party group of municipal councillors, she's working to develop ties between the two countries. But the towns and cities in the south are not the only ones who stand to gain from decentralized cooperation.
Le Congo apporte sa culture. Le Congo apporte son
Congo brings its culture, its artistic know-how.
Des arts. Aujourd'hui, il y a des échanges qui se font dans ce sens-là.
That's the way exchanges are going nowadays. There are several initiatives that promote diversity, encourage tolerance and citizenship.
À la mixité, qui appelle à la tolérance, à la citoyenneté, parce qu'il faut savoir que la diaspora congolaise est assez grande.
The Congolese diaspora is sizable, and we live better together when cultures blend, so people can find their place.
Effectivement, que les deux cultures puissent se mélanger pour que les gens.
After all, we are citizens of the whole world.
Trouver leur place, parce que finalement, on est des citoyens du monde.
But decentralized cooperation doesn't stop with infrastructure and cultural exchanges. The youngest of communes can learn about local government, questions of sanitation, youth and female employment, the do's and don'ts of cultural animation, and even urban planning of park areas. This 7th Forum has proved to be a rich source of ideas as well as a showcase for the best practices in terms of urban management. The key, it would seem, is to avoid one-size-fits-all solutions and take account of specific economic, social, and cultural factors.
Comprenons ce qui peut être adapté
We only look at solutions that can be adapted to our particular context. That means education, health, and even transport. Transport is a major challenge in our bigger cities in Africa. So we're looking for ideas. Abidjan is developing tramways, so we are here at the forum to exchange ideas. We are looking at cities like Nice and Paris that have experience with issues like this.
But the idyllic picture of North-South twinning could be marred by the insecurity resulting from conflicts on the continent and the growing number of terrorist attacks. Without a stable environment, projects and cultural exchanges cannot be expected to thrive. The French Minister of Cooperation believes that everything possible needs to be done to alleviate poverty. A fertile territory for extremists to take hold.
Information and communication technology has been heralded as the solution to Africa's educational woes, but who will the real winners be if the funding can be found? François Baudry put the question and many others to Oley Dibba-Wadda, Executive Secretary of ADEA, the Association for the Development of Education in Africa, based at the AFDB headquarters in Abidjan.
Oley Dibba-Wadda, hello. Thank you for accepting this interview for Initiative Africa, broadcasted on 50 African TV channels. I have a first question at the end of this forum on ICT and education. What we have to retain in our mind of these 2 days of work?
I think for me personally, and I think the sense I got from the participants, from the minister, is hope. A sense of commitment, a sense of urgency, a sense of enthusiasm that at the policy level, at the partnerships level, at the technical level, we are all in this together and we all believe on the importance of ICT in education. So for us as ADEA, convening all these stakeholders on education in Africa, I think we could not have had a better forum. So I am very excited and very pleased.
And this is the second forum you organized. What are the main changes from the first one?
I think there were recommendations of really coming up with some concrete actions. There were recommendations of really ensuring that a coherent partnership is built together to look at how we move ICT forward. So in looking at this forum that we had today, we have actually implemented the recommendations of the last ICT forum, the first ICT forum that was held in Tunis.
Okay. And during these 2 days, there are a lot of testimonies of project and realization. This is like an explosion of modern project. What can we say about that?
There is an amazing, fantastic work that is going on. The evidence of all these presentations that were made, for me, is an indication that a lot of things is happening. What we have not been doing enough is exposing this to all the stakeholders so that people can hear and see. I think our role in ADEA and what we need to do now is to bring all this good work, all these best practices together and try and connect the dots of what the different partners are doing, avoiding competition amongst partners, filling the gaps, avoiding working in silos. I think it is important that our role now in ADEA is to bring all these key stakeholders together so that we work for a common goal, a common objective, which is ICT in education in Africa. That is very important.
If I well listen you, the ICT will save the education world in Africa?
Well, I wouldn't say it will save the education world, but it is one step towards, it's one contributing factor. We are in the 21st century. We cannot be talking about education in the absence of ICT. We live in a digital world right now, and Africa cannot be lagging behind in this digital divide, in this transformation that is going on. So I keep saying my son, my youngest son, who is 11 years old, is a genius on computers. So we need to be using these computers at home, at school. Kids need to be more familiar because that's how we all communicate. So it is education in itself, and I think we need to go beyond that.
And I saw during these 2 days more and more sponsor biggest companies like Microsoft, Intel. Is it a good sign, or is it an intrusion of the education for Africa?
I think it's a good sign. I think as investors and partners, they see potential in the continent.
For business?
For business, but also for partnership. So from our side, as long as the business agreement and arrangements are in line with country policies, plans and priorities, I think this is welcoming. As I mentioned, we are all in a global village, so it will be beneficial for Intel, for Microsoft, for all these partners, as well as for the countries. And for us in ADEA, the end beneficiary is the teachers and the children. So as long as it is in the interest of our own beneficiaries, for me, it's how we negotiate the modalities, it's dependent on each country, and they're all very diverse. But I think it is important that it is a partnership and not a business per se.
If I saw the profile of the countries for in education for their students and their population, their youth, there is a big difference between the countries. How can you, with ADEA, harmonize that problem?
I would not do justice if I say it would be easy. It is not easy. Africa is not one country. Africa is 54 countries, very diverse in language, in culture, even education curriculum vary even within one region, say for West Africa as an example. So I think what we need to do is to have an holistic approach, have a political will of ensuring that we all agree on the importance of education, of ICT in education. That's the first step. And we have all realized, we are all aware of the importance. I think the second step is now to tailor-make each country to identify how those needs are now broken out and dismantled to fit in the actual context. And within ADEA, our role is to support each country independently to identify how this would fit within their own context.
Many dollars are coming to a project for ICT, millions of dollars. But is it still some dollars for Blackboard, for example, and to build school in the rural countries?
It's changing now. It's not just about school. And education encompasses a holistic approach. It's the blackboard, it's the school, it's the chairs, it's the teachers, it's the learning, it's the parents, it's the community. So each different partners would come in with a different approach to complement the whole system. So it would be very difficult for one partner or funder or donor to come and engage in the whole sector of what education encompasses. So each player would come and make their own humble contribution towards supporting ICT in education in a particular context.
Because ADEA is focusing on the formal system, but what about the marginalized population, the youth who has no access to education and so on? What can you do?
ADEA is not only focused on formal education. We actually have a working group on non-formal education, which is based in Burkina Faso. The government of Burkina Faso is also hosting the inter-country quality node on literacy and learning. So we are encompassing the formal and the informal sector. We are also looking at the Quranic schools as well and engaging in that. Even with the ICQN, which is the inter-country quality node on technical vocational skills development, we are also targeting out-of-school children, and we are also targeting the formal sector. But I think holistically, ADEA covers from early childhood development all the way to technical and vocational skills to tertiary education, because you cannot have just one piece. You need to encompass all, and different countries and stakeholders engage in different sectors of the education component.
Welcome back to Initiative Africa. Numerous organizations such as the CICP have devoted their energy to mobilizing investment in Africa. CICP, the International Chamber for Counseling and Promoting Enterprise, is a platform for consultants and company leaders. But there is more to it than presenting Africa as a fruit ripe for the picking potential investors, but also show an interest in the continent's social development to ensure that growth and development also lead to better living conditions for local populations, of course. This is a report by David Thiombiano and Camille Meunier.
Sally Nadège Konéage est conseillère en investissement. Elle a participé au financement de nombreux projets tels que la création d'hôpitaux ou encore la construction d'hydrauliques villageoises. C'est aussi une militante du développement économique en Afrique qui organise souvent des rencontres, à l'image de ce 12e FOREA, le Forum pour les investissements en Afrique, organisé par la Chambre internationale pour le conseil et la promotion de l'entreprise, qui se tenait en juin dernier à Paris. Une nouvelle occasion de rappeler qu'un bon investissement ne se limite pas à l'économie.
Tous ces morts dans les océans.
If people are dying crossing the sea, it is because Africa's social fabric is not developed.
Des investisseurs qui viennent en Afrique vraiment pour des affaires.
Businessmen and investors come to Africa to help us develop certain projects, but at the end of the day, we see that people are still in need.
Et les investisseurs ne se bousculent plus beaucoup en Afrique. De 50 milliards de dollars au cours de ces 3 dernières années, les investissements directs étrangers, les IDE, sont tombés cette année à 38 milliards. Les causes, la chute des cours des matières premières, pétrole en tête, et la sécheresse en Afrique du Sud et dans l'Est du continent. Mais il y a aussi des efforts à faire chaque jour pour rassurer l'investisseur sur la sécurité de ses projets.
Beaucoup se posent des questions.
A lot of investors are hesitant. Look at the example of purchasing agricultural land in Africa. There was a project to develop 15,000 hectares in Upper Guinea, but it was put on hold. The project raised questions about stability and property law. Unfortunately, a lot of countries don't have land titles, and that creates problems. Investors need reassuring, and we must make sure foreign investors have certain guarantees.
Dans un contexte d'instabilité politique ou législatif, la connaissance du terrain est aussi un atout majeur pour un investisseur. Ainsi, au cours des 10 dernières années, la part des Africains dans les projets financés par les IDE a presque triplé, atteignant en 2013 près de 23% des investissements, avec à la clé la création de plus de 200 000 emplois. Pour beaucoup d'entrepreneurs, il est temps que les Africains, diaspora comprise, se mobilisent et rejoignent la troupe des investisseurs pour le bénéfice de tous.
Aujourd'hui, mon idée,
I would like to see intellectuals from Africa joining forces to promote development and innovate.
Pour pouvoir développer, faire des inventions.
Africa is a market of over 560 million inhabitants, and I think we Africans should work together to show the Westerners that we can grow. But we must not forget that we need to work with them because they have experience. They have a head start over us. We should always take their considered advice before pressing ahead.
Pour la CICP et son pool d'avocats conseils, l'investisseur doit intégrer la responsabilité sociale de l'entreprise dans son projet. Pour l'institution, c'est non seulement la clé d'un partenariat gagnant-gagnant, mais aussi la garantie d'un projet qui s'inscrira dans la durée en contribuant à résorber le chômage qui touche 38 millions de jeunes âgés de 15 à 24 ans.
Nous sommes un pool à la disposition pour faire des contrats.
We are a pool of lawyers on hand to draw up contracts ensuring that these contracts include specific clauses respecting social criteria.
Qui permettent la contrainte sociale.
A moral charter, if you will. I suggest that it would be worthwhile considering a moral charter for the International Chamber of Trade
Très intéressant
to involve investors more in the social aspect.
Chambre de commerce internationale pour impliquer les investisseurs dans le social.
La prise en compte des aspects environnementaux, sociaux, mais aussi de bonne gouvernance est requise dans la démarche RSE, responsabilité sociale d'entreprise. Dans le monde, près de 13 600 milliards de dollars sont mobilisés pour ces causes. Au 12e Forum économique sur l'Afrique, on ne s'est pas seulement contenté de présenter des catalogues de bonnes affaires aux entrepreneurs, mais aussi des projets sociaux pour soulager des populations en souffrance. Exemple, l'ONG Espoir pour les enfants, qui travaille à redonner le sourire à des centaines d'orphelins issus du Cameroun, de la Côte d'Ivoire ou encore du Tchad. Le projet du père Nouma a retenu toute l'attention des hommes et femmes d'affaires.
Nous souhaitons et nous voudrons faire
We want to build an orphanage to provide a better environment than the one they know.
d'hier. Parce que comme ils sont à location,
These houses are rented, and we can only afford small ones. We want to build bigger, more spacious premises with study rooms and facilities.
Salle d'études et beaucoup de choses sur place. Donc notre but, c'est de construire.
So we want to build an orphanage and a hospital for our patients.
Nos patients.
Appel entendu par les participants du forum et des engagements sont pris pour soutenir l'ONG dans ses actions. D'autres initiatives sont en cours grâce à la médiation de la CICP et de ses membres. 3 hôpitaux au Burkina Faso, 2 centres de dialyse ou encore un centre de santé primaire au Niger. Comme quoi, contre toute attente, il semblerait bien que le temps des investisseurs purement financiers soit bien révolu.
Oley Dibba-Wadda and her collaborators are busy preparing the next 3-year plan for education in Africa to be presented in Marrakesh in Morocco from 14th to 16th of March next year. Priority will be given to science, technology, engineering and mathematics. Oley Dibba-Wadda is also keen to emphasize the role parents must play in their children's education, the importance of quality teaching in Africa, and the importance of informal education.
And what about the third part of the educational system? You have teacher, you have student, youth, but what about the family, the parent? Because they have a big role to play. And what can you do with that?
A lot of countries and different schools engage the parents. The parents are part of the educators themselves. Yeah. They are part of the community. Yeah. So when we engage and when countries engage, they do not only target the teachers and the school, but they ensure that the parents are also part of the design process, because the child also spends time at home, and the home environment is equally important for the child's learning. So giving literacy languages, literacy and training to parents is also to help them to engage and to understand and to be able to support the growth of their children. So we cover both sides in that context.
What about the problem that the family and the student meet with the permanent strike? No motivation from teacher and so on. What can you do with that problem?
That is the biggest challenge we have. Yeah. The issue, we have just launched the Inter-Country Quality Node on Teaching and Learning, which the government of Rwanda is now hosting. And we have come to realize, and a lot of our partners are very enthusiastic and committed to engage in that area, that the priority and the importance of teacher motivation.
It's not a problem only of money.
No, it's not money. It's not in monetary terms. I think for us, when I was growing up as a kid, my teachers were like gods to me, because they taught me everything. So up to now, I am where I am because of them, including my parents, of course. And I think over time, the teaching profession has been devalued. We have now realized that we cannot have quality education, we cannot move to the next level in education in the absence of ensuring that those who are supposed to help accompany the parents to support those children, who are the teachers, are not recognized, are not valued, are not appreciated. So we are looking at now putting up initiatives with different countries on how to motivate teachers. Not monetary. Some teachers are actually saying it's not about the money, but it's appreciating the work that they do. Some teachers are like parents, are like mothers and fathers to those students. So we cannot move forward if we do not engage the teachers and show appreciation and appreciate the work and the support that they give.
That is a very new approach.
Yes,
for
it is.
education.
It is.
Next year you will have the Triennale
Yes,
of Education.
we will.
What are the challenges for this Triennale?
The challenges we will be tested. This triennial is going to be different in the sense that in the past the ADEA Secretariat had taken the lead in coordinating the entire triennial. This time we have engaged the partners and the member countries from the design stage. The consultative meetings we are having are actually being led by the countries themselves, coordinated within that region by the countries themselves. This triennial is not going to look at the how. No, it's not going to look at the what. It's not going to look at the problem. There are lots of studies. There have been discussions over years on the problem. Yeah. We now have two frameworks. One global framework, which is the Sustainable Development Goals framework, and the African Agenda 2063 framework. Now, what is important for us is to look at the education component of these frameworks and how do we implement them. What is important now for us is to look at mechanisms, roadmaps, action plans to implement. How do we take this to scale? How do we? It's no longer about the what, it's about the how, by when, and who. And this is where we will be tested, and this is where our challenge. It's a very ambitious one, given the diversity in the continent, but our hope is that Africa missed a part of the ship when it sailed on the MDGs in education. We were able to hit the mark on access, but not on quality. We realized that going to school had not translated into learning, outcomes, quality, and a lot of other sector actors. We have realized that sometimes even being graduating, the academic component of education does not meet the labor market. So these are all issues we need to look at. So this would be looking at how do we do this? How do we ensure that this time Africa is able to implement the Africa's Agenda 2063 that fits into the global Sustainable Development Goals?
Frankly speaking, do you think that the viewers, fathers, mothers, who are listening, you talk about the 63 or 23, are optimistic for the tomorrow of their family and their child? What they have to wait something for tomorrow, not for 50 years.
I think it's not about the mother and the father anymore. I think it's about the children. And having discussions and engaging with the youth, they are not even waiting for us anymore. This is their agenda, and they are taking their own future in their hands. Our role is to guide them, is to support them, to be able to achieve these goals. So we set frameworks, and they could change it, and the landscape could change. But I think as parents, as teachers, as educators, as policymakers, our role is to now work, accompany the youth to be able to work towards their own vision. Now, 2063 is a very ambitious and long-term vision. But I think the youth have seen the benefit of it. Africa needs to take its own future in its own hands. African youth need to take the future in their own hands. And from what I see now, I have no doubt in my mind that we have very able, committed, determined, young, aspiring leaders that would take the continent to where it deserves to be.
That is your last sentence. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, folks, that's all for Initiative Africa this week. Do you fancy watching the show or others again? Well, just click on www.initiative-africa.com and don't forget to tune in next week, same time, same channel for another edition of Business Africa, your business meeting with the continent. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.